Aaron, it's great to see you on this call as well. Thank you so much for all the help on the FOIA and AI work. You've really been a huge help there, and it's been awesome to see. So I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It's 2:02. Um, I'm going to, in this call, start with a little bit about Muckrock, who we are, for anyone on this call who doesn't know us, and is coming from the Data Liberation Project and wants to know more about these people who are help shepherding this awesome project that you're all a part of. Then I'm going to transition to how you can get involved in the Data Liberation Project, talk a little bit about what we've got up and coming, and different ways you can just start getting to work. Like I was saying at the top of the call when I was just speaking with Vasant, it's hard often in volunteer projects to find something really useful to do and do it quickly. If anyone has experience in like open source projects or contributing to open source software, that's a really good example of when it becomes really easy and really helpful to just dive in and get to work on things. And so our goal is kind of how can we take all the awesome work that's being done on the Data Liberation Project and make it as easy to contribute as a really great open source project that's well documented. So something that you can just get in, have fun, and start seeing the results of your work and how it helps other people and helps other people do more work and keep building on it. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about Muckrock. So what is muck rock? That's the big question. We're a few different things. We're also this group of people in the corner, minus a few. This was at a retreat a few years ago. We've lost a few, added a few, but there's some core people in that call or in this picture. Um, so yeah, in a nutshell, Muckrock is a journalism and transparency nonprofit that helps people get, understand, and share government information, whether through help filing public records requests or joining a project that's analyzing public data in their communities. Sometimes we build software. Sometimes we do journalism. Sometimes we combine our journalism with crowdsourcing and trainings. But the goal is with each parts of those pieces of what Muck Rock does to be open and participatory and encourage that in other projects, which is why after watching the Data Liberation Project from afar and talking with Jeremy about his next steps in his career, that we were like, wow, if this place needs a home, we'd love to be the home for that. Um, More specifically, we are Muckrock, as in the Muckrock records request software. So that's a place where you can file public records requests. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And if you're interested in actually filing requests and following up with public records custodians, I'll have kind of a separate onboarding call coming up that I'll loop you all into to get in the loop on how to use Muckrock and get us all into a team in Muckrock where we can track records, requests, and just kind of keep them coming along. So yeah, we have that on Muckrock. We are a place where you can file requests. And because most of the requests that people file, or I think like 990,000 of them are public, it is also a place where you can do a lot of research and see what requests have been filed and find the language for requests on a topic you're interested in. We also make Document Cloud, which is a software for providing and publishing and analyzing and sharing public records requests or the documents you get back in public records requests. So primary source documents. On Document Cloud, we now have add-ons, which are open source tools to extend Document Cloud. They're really great. They do a lot of cool things. We probably won't talk a lot about Document Cloud as Data Liberation Project volunteers. But it's out there and it's awesome. It's really useful for the document end of public records. Again, we're going to be focusing on the data end, so it may not come into use that often for us. We also have a news team, of which I'm a part of and Kelly's a part of. We're a team of investigative journalists working on public records-driven reporting. And again, we strive to be open and participatory with all our projects. Um, so like I just mentioned a second ago, we have this part of Muckrock where you can find and file public records requests. On there, we have about 129,000 users that have released 10.3 million pages. Our users are lots of different groups in the public, whether civic groups or activists or academics. We also have 4,000 verified newsrooms. In our database of public records requests, we have 22,000 government agencies. So from the Suffolk County Legislator to the FBI, you don't have to go out and do the searching for the FOIA officer at the agency you're looking for. We have this big database that hopefully makes that a lot quicker for you. Um, we've helped people file over 145,000 requests. We launched in 2010, reincorporated in 2016. Like I said, we have 99,000 requests public on Muckrock. Again, it's a huge, huge repository for you to do research for any types of data that you're interested in. And I'll be talking about that in future sessions. If you are filing a request in Muckrock, real quick, it looks pretty simple like this. We have a template form that comes up and it helps just you quickly fill out the boilerplate that sometimes forces people to stumble on their way to getting their first request out the door. Again, in this agency part of the form, you are able to type in what agency you're looking for and query that database of over 20,000 agencies whose contacts we already have. And then the rest of this form populates, and really you can just focus on writing in exactly what you're looking for. Um, Looking through that repository of data on our website looks like this. If you were to just go and type in use of force, these are the requests that would come up. And you can pop into these requests and see how people are describing the data or documents that they're looking for. And then you can just take that, copy and paste it on your own, and file that request somewhere else. Or if you're on this project and you're working in Muckrock, we have a button to clone a request, which maybe we'll use in the future. Document Cloud, like I said, once you get documents back and not data, Document Cloud is a place to host documents, analyze them, and share them with readers. Again, we may come to Document Cloud at some point, but probably not, and not today. This is what it looks like. There's some really cool add-ons. There are great add-ons for turning documents into data. That's one way that we may end up using Document Cloud if we do. And Yeah, like I said, we're also a news team, a small news team. And in the last couple of years, we've worked on projects with several other nonprofit newsrooms and other newsrooms across the country, including New York Focus, the California newsroom, Cicero Independiente, and Cicero, Illinois, USA Today, Stat, and the Missouri Independent. Across a wide range of issues, really helping these reporters across the country find the documents and data that can help them do reporting that they otherwise won't be able to do. So that is a bit about Muckrock, so you know who we are and what we do. Now I'm going to shift into the Data Liberation Project. Um, Give me a second while I get myself into this next portion. All right. So, um, in Slack, if you go into Slack in the Public Data Liberation Hub channel, there is a canvas that looks like this. My hope is that this canvas is the place where everyone can kind of come and get tuned in, just like Adrian is. I saw Adrian's name pop up in the canvas. You can see other people working on things. You can all contribute to it. Everything should be open. If you can't see any table here or any part of this canvas, do let me know. It should be available to everyone who is in the Data Liberation Project channel. Um, so yeah, when you come to the canvas, the first thing you're going to see is upcoming meetings. That is going to be a place where we keep everyone in the loop of different meetings or events coming up that are related to the Data Liberation Project and sometimes not directly. I put FOIA Friday there. FOIA Friday is a monthly call that I've been hosting since the beginning of 2024, where we talk about different topics in FOIA and kind of go over tips, tricks, and different requests for inspiration. Um, just trying to gather people together to talk about challenges that they're facing, help them solve those challenges, and continue learning about new things in the world of FOIA and public records requests. I'm going to check the chat just to see
We're
if there's
just collecting some invites, so I'll be
okay.
adding people after this meeting.
Cool, cool. And Kelly, if there's an important question that I've missed while I'm talking, just interrupt me, and I'll try to answer it as they come up. So yeah, if you want to stay up to date with everything going on there, that's the place to find it. And now you have the three ways you can contribute to the data liberation project. This is the way that Jeremy was kind of conceptualizing the idea of the data liberation project before. So I've cribbed from Jeremy's original vision and am trying to create a few different groups or a few different ways people can get involved based on that organization that he had. Um, so the three things that the Data Liberation Project does and the three ways you can get involved are by finding data, requesting it, and then exploring it. Exploring it means probing it, cleaning it, visualizing it, and documenting it to publish on the Data Liberation website. Um, so I'm going to go through each of those in more specific details, but actually I'm going to also navigate quickly to the Data Liberation Project site. Um, So the website looks like this. A lot of you have probably been there. Um, these categories of how you can get involved are the closest I could come to Jeremy's how on this page. So the what of Data Liberation Project is to um, get documents or get data from the government that are either hard to obtain, have not been published, or are not easy to analyze or work with because they're in 5,000 HTML pages and someone needs to scrape it and extract the data from it. So we want to get those data in all the different ways that they appear and make them easier for people out in the world to use. Why we want to do that? Vast troves of government data are inaccessible to the people that need them most. Again, they've either never been made public or they're in obscure formats or they don't have the documentation for people to actually use them. Um, and then the how is what is right here and what I'm going to go back to in the canvas. Uh, so the first step is finding. I know in the previous iterations of the data liberation project, this has been done in different ways. It sounds like a lot of people were just throwing ideas out to Jeremy directly, which is great. And that's one way I think people can still throw out ideas. It's just like directly to me in Slack or directly to the channel in Slack. But I think in the future, one other way of doing it is getting it into this table here on the canvas and also looping people who are specifically interested in finding data into maybe like a once a month brainstorm session. So I have this as TBD on the upcoming meetings, but in the future, I think we'll see how it goes. If people can actually join that or if that feels useful. But to continue a good pace of requesting new data, I want to just keep everyone who's interested in finding data, just snooping around and checking out new data sets and then talking it over with the group. And if we could then get together as a group, define which ones are really the most useful to go after, then we'll get the request filed, and then that would move us into actually filing and following up on requests. Um,
And Dylan, we just got a quick question of the scope of the subjects that of data sets that interest DLP. Just I think they're just kind of curious what DLP is covering.
Yeah. Khalil, I think I don't know if there is a topical funnel that we would, that we would choose, or there's a way that we would choose topics that we're not interested in. What I do know is that the goal with each data set that's more important is that it's a broad enough data set that there's something for almost everyone in any state of the United States to use. So that it's not geographically limited to such a small area that it's not broadly useful to anyone in the United States to use. But if it fulfills that requirement, I don't think we've chosen any topics that we're not interested in. There are the topics that I think the group is probably more interested in, it seems. I think a lot of people are interested in environment and policing, but I think we could go as narrow in topic as possible as long as it has that larger geographic scope. Is that helpful? Cool. Um, So yeah, um, if you're interested in finding data sets, or you have an idea for a data set, it'd be awesome if you just went in right here like I did and plugged in a data set that you've been thinking about, and tied yourself to it or anyone else you've talked about it with. Then you can use the new data research template, which is linked there and also at the bottom of the canvas, which has looks like around 5 to 10 questions that Jeremy was posing to folks as they were interested in data and asking them to work as much on as they could in researching a request before filing it. Um, these are really great questions. I have not used this template myself, but I feel like these are the type of questions all in one place that I found out I either did ask myself before filing a request or wish I asked myself before filing requests. So I think it's a really useful exercise if you are interested in a data set to pull up this research template and to see how far you can get. Um, and then, like I was saying, I think it'd be great to have a monthly brainstorm call where we can discuss ideas. And it'd probably be most useful to prioritize ideas that have already been fleshed out in that template a little bit more. But again, I think it'd be a place where we could go over a lot of different ideas that are either ready to file or just the kind of seeds of ideas that folks want to work on in the coming weeks or months. Um, for example, I put in a Debts and Custody Reporting Act data idea. This is data I'm working with in one state in the United States, and I know it's available in the rest of the country in varying ways or to varying degrees. But the federal government is collecting it and will not share it. Actually, USA Today and the appeal are both in a lawsuit with the federal government to get them to release the data that the federal government is getting from the states across the country. But I think it'd be kind of cool to go to states ourselves, since that might be easier than trying to get it from the federal government, who said they won't actually release this data for this policy that they've been working on for a long time, but don't have a lot to show for. So that's something I need to do some more research into and would be an idea that I would bring to one of our brainstorming calls. Another way you can get involved is actually requesting the data. And it's awesome to see lots of people are interested in this because this can be sometimes the least fun part. You're working directly with records custodians or FOIA officers, and you're filing the request, following up on it, calling them when they say, "We don't know what you're talking about," even though you know exactly what you're talking about and you have the slides that the government agency themselves use to describe the data to themselves and somehow still do not know what you're requesting in your request. You would be following up, making that call to that officer and saying, what is going on and how can I help get this request across the finish line? So it's great to see a lot of people are interested in that. That's not an easy thing to do. Um, like I said, I think at the top of the call, what we'll do next with these names or any people interested in this specifically is try to get everyone looped into a Muckrock call later on in the month, or early in November or late in November, to get everyone an account and start being able to file requests and follow up on them. Um, so that's great to see. Then lastly, what I think a lot of people on this call are most interested in is exploring data. So once we get data back, the fun of digging into it, finding out its pitfalls, being really excited about its strengths, and then realizing those are actually its pitfalls, and then visualizing it and just getting to know it. That is what you will be doing in this step. Jeremy had a really great template for this as well. If you go to the data liberation site, I think one of the things that I really admire about the ethos of the Data Liberation Project is not just liberating data, but making it accessible beyond that initial liberation in the sense that it's well documented, and anyone who is now looking at this data, say on federal inmate deaths, um, has a clear idea of what those limitations might be, what the different variables or columns are, what a basic data dictionary would look like, what the data types are, and is able to actually just kind of plug in and start analyzing the data without finding out all of the problems with the data or all of the things they wish they knew a week into analyzing it. So this template is linked in the Canvas as well. And it just covers a few basic areas that then make it onto the website in varying degrees about the background of the data, the original requests, what data is actually provided, the caveats and limitations, and some technical documentation on, like I was just saying, column specific notes or any other smells or odd things in the data so that people can actually use it and not just say, wow, this is great that it's in the world, but it doesn't make it any easier for someone to actually analyze it and make sense of it. Um, the way that I think we can do that going forward is by um, finding the people who are most interested in doing this and also just like letting everyone in the channel know when we do get a request back and we have data and documents to dig into. I keep saying documents because I'm always talking about data and documents, but here I'm just talking about data. When we do have data to dig into and working on that documentation template together and just teaming up on it and seeing how far we can get and then maybe stepping back and thinking, okay, is this close enough that someone reading it on the website will be able to immediately use this data to make sense of it? So uh, that already has one potential item that we can dig into as well. So under these three different areas that you can get involved, I'm just kind of adding to-dos. Um, Everyone here has access to these tables and can add the any to-do items there. If you're working on stuff and just want to add people you're working with as you're collaborating, I think that'd be awesome. If you want to check up and see what needs to be done in these different categories, if you just have a couple hours and want to help out, that should also be a good use of them. For example, we did get APHIS data back, and I put this data initially in a Google Drive, and you can pull it up, take a look at it. This APHIS data, I think we already have the request on the Data Liberation Project site. Let's see. Some folks are nodding their heads like they might have seen it again. Or Sam, do you know?
Yeah, so there's a page for the request, but this data is not actually up there yet. So this data is in the stage that Dylan was just talking about, where we would love for some volunteers to take a look through it and start filling out the documentation template, which is linked in the Canvas. That's in the Slack hub. So yeah, so this is the page documenting the request, which went out a year ago, almost a year ago, and now the data has come in. So Saley, who you see mentioned there, she may be helping with this. We're still kind of figuring that out. But if you take a look at the Canvas, the hub in the Slack channel, you'll see that right in the exploring data section, it's listed there. And the documentation, there's a link that says working documentation. Right now, I think it's empty because we haven't started, but this is the kind of thing we're talking about. So we are looking for volunteers. In fact, this isn't the only one. I think we've had other data come in since we have taken the DLP on. So this is the kind of documentation that we need people to go ahead and, you know, get their hands dirty in the data and, figure out what its limitations are. If they're missing data, what kind of fields does it have? So we'll have this documentation for each one.
Exactly. So yeah, the APHIS data is the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service data. I actually do not know a lot about it. I'm excited to take a look at it. But is Saley, are you on this call? If you are, feel free to unmute yourself or drop a note in the chat. I think Saley had registered, but I'm not sure if Saley's on the call. Let's see if I can find it in the gallery. No, it doesn't look like it. Um, but yeah, Saley was one of the original filers along with um, Jeremy. So we've got it back, and anyone who wants to hop in and take a look at it, you can pull it from Google Sheets and start working on it in any way or any place that you want to. In the future, obviously, we'll get it on GitHub and fully document everything there. But just to get it up and available to folks now, I just put it on the drive or on Google Drive. So.
And if you're interested in doing that, I think go ahead and put your name into that row in the Slack. So right now it says Dylan and Thaley because Thaley was one of the original requesters. But if anyone here would like to take it on, feel free to just put yourself in there, and that way we'll know who's working on it, or at least who's interested in starting it.
Um, I'm just looking in the chat at some questions. Uh, Sunil asked, what is the policy on putting the data on archive.org? Um, that is a good question. I'm not sure if the Data Liberation Project was archiving things uh, up to now. Sam or Kelly, do you know if the Data Liberation Project was archiving things?
No, I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't know about specifically archive.org. We can check in case that is something they were doing, but we are partnering with another organization called Big Local News, and one of the things that they're doing is archiving the data. It's not on the Internet Archive. It's on the I forget what it's called. It's some sort of Stanford data archive. So they will be archiving it. But I think if anyone's interested in, multiple archives are always great. If anyone wants to also archive it on archive.org, I think you're probably welcome to. But as far as I know, we're not planning to do that with every data set. That might change later, possibly.
Sunil, I'm going to tag you here as well. Um, I think it's a good idea, and I think like Sam said, if there are people who are interested in archiving data in different places, just like all our personal data, I'm sure archiving data in more than one place is always better than one place. So we can come up with a clear idea of like, yeah, this is where we are going to archive data. Anyone who wants to archive it somewhere else can, but at least we'll have one place, knowing that the big local news team will be archiving it as well. Cool. And it looks like Zan has already put in a note about visualizing data that has come in, um, which would be great maybe for the APHIS data. I don't know how conducive it is to visualizing it. I haven't taken a look at it specifically, but that could be one place to start. And like Sam said, we've had a few other requests come back, it looks like, and we'll start plugging those into here so everyone can be in the loop. And then in the future, with everyone who is filing these requests or working in the Muckrock project, you'll be able to actually just go into Muckrock and see our requests. The people who are working on them will be able to reply to the requests, but at the very least, anyone who's not working on the requests will have a public link where you can stay up to date on just the back and forth. Like if you don't necessarily want to follow up on a request for something specific like the APHIS data, but that's data you're especially interested in and you just want to know for sure when it comes in, you will have access to a public link where you can just kind of see the back and forth and see the data come in. Um, but then again, like I said, I think we want to make sure that that data, as soon as it comes in, that Kelly and I and Sam are letting everyone know in the Slack how they can get involved, and that some new data has come in. So yeah, in each of these tables, you can start tagging yourselves. Down here, I put Kelly and I as two people to contact if you have any questions. Of course, you can also just put something to the general channel as well. We have a few other Slack channels in Muckrock that could be useful to you. The public FOIA workshopping Slack channel is for just working through different questions or talking about a request that you've already filed where you've gotten a weird response or don't really know how to go forward. And then FOIA stories is just for FOIA out in the wild or public records or data out in the wild, sharing those stories or reporting that you see on public records so that other people can just keep in the loop of it. Then you have public intros to introduce yourself. We have these templates if you want to refer back to those. And after this session, we'll have previous onboarding sessions down at the bottom. So that covers the Canvas. Hopefully, you'll be spending a good amount of time there, or at least the time you need to spend there to then get to work. Um, I think that wraps up the presenting part of the call from me today. But oh, actually, I had one more thing. Let me go back to sharing. At the top of the canvas is this link to a Google form for all the different categories that I just mentioned. It would be great to know what you are specifically interested in so that we could keep you in the loop specifically. We're still trying to figure out how to do that in the Slack channel or with folks' emails, but I may not want to bombard everyone every time we have something related to finding data or brainstorming it or cleaning data. And it could be useful just to have folks kind of blocked off into groups by what they're most interested in so that you get notifications for just what you want to work on and not all the different things going on. So if you could fill out that form, that would be super helpful. If you're interested in multiple things, I think, oh, I could only let you pick one thing. I will change this form after the call, but for now, if you can just pick one thing, go for it. Um, but yeah, I also added scraping to this question. I know there was some good scraping work going on in the past in the data liberation project, and that's kind of just in maintenance right now, but we may identify different data we want to scrape in the future. And so anyone who's specifically interested in that can put that in this form as well. So with that, I want to wrap up the presenting and just put it back to the group and ask you all if there are any questions about getting tuned into different work or the data liberation project more broadly that Kelly, Sam, and I could answer. Hassan.
Yeah, so it just in terms of next steps for each of us, depending on what we want to do, it's like go on Canvas, put our names under certain things, fill out the Google form. Is there anything else that we need to do just to kind of make sure we're on the right list and obviously be in the Slack channel, so we can kind of keep up to date on what's happening. But is that kind of the sort of next things we should be looking at?
Yep, that is exactly it. I think that's a perfect description of it. Yeah, if you can fill out the form and then get in the canvas, start tagging yourself in things you're interested in, and then just be ready to get some Slack notifications or notifications about needing to brainstorm data, or an onboarding for working in Muckrock to file requests. Just be on the lookout for those items. But yeah, just stay tuned in Slack. And I think we're really hoping to get everyone hacking away on things as soon as possible because the data is starting to come in. Hopefully, we'll get some new requests going out. And you can see on this call, we have a great group of people, a lot of people who are interested in helping out. So our goal will just be to try to make that as smooth as possible and make sure people can actually start doing some fun stuff as soon as possible. And if you have any questions about that, just drop a question in the Slack as well. If you have something you want to get working on but don't know where to start. Khalil, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. You mentioned scraping, you mentioned cleaning, refining data sets. What kinds of tools, infrastructure are you using for that? Is that something we should be working with? Are these just scripts on a cron job? Is there something we need to get to know before we can contribute to that?
No, I think as far as I understand, the scraping that was happening was just happening on the basis of someone really wanted to get at the data, and I don't think they had any requirements for how they were doing it, as long as it was well documented. I think it would be great, like you said, running on a cron job. If there is data that's published regularly, I think it's really fun to be able to do something like that, because journalists often need data as soon as they can get their hands on it, and so does the public at large. And I think um, running things on a regular schedule, getting data on a regular schedule would be something really useful. I don't know if the scraping we were doing was kind of like one-off projects or something that was, running on a regular schedule. In the data liberation project GitHub, the scrapers that are active or were active are there. If that is something that a lot of people on this call are specifically interested in, we could have like a scraping working group as well, just like a couple people who are really interested in that. That's a long-winded answer to say, no, I don't know of any constraints in terms of tools folks were using. And I think the ethos is more if you can get the data, that's great. If you can document the code, even better. And yeah. I'll drop the link for the scrapers in the chat as well.
I think, Adrian, if you want to go next with your next question.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Dylan. And apologies, this might be something that's more germane to the like Muckrock filing onboarding, but just wanted to clear up. It isn't a requirement volunteering with DLP that we have to file the FOIAs through Muckrock. I mean, I haven't looked too much of the platform. It looks great and it seems really, really awesome, and I'm interested in learning more about it. But that's not like just confirming that that's not like a requirement of the filing to do it on Muckrock, the platform.
That is a good question. I mean, I think for going forward, we will aim to have all the requests filed in Muckrock just because it can ensure that the requests and all the back and forth are all public, and that'll be also useful to people as well. If there are any ongoing requests that weren't filed in Muckrock, that's totally fine. It's not like we'll turn down a request because it wasn't filed in Muckrock, but I think going forward, the big goal will be like all the data is public, but let's also make the requests public from the language and the back and forth to the officers and just have that in the same way that the data lives on GitHub, the request lives on Muckrock.
Awesome. Thank you.
Leo, I'm still searching for the repos that I was talking about. I know they're somewhere on the data liberation project, but I'm just gonna drop the actual main repo there, and you might be able to find them yourself. Otherwise, I'll loop back to you. Aaron.
Sorry. Okay, my question is just about sort of like selecting what we're requesting. How will how will those determinations be made? Is it going to be like a group thing, or like we vote, or like how will we decide on projects?
That's a good question, and I don't think one we fully have an answer for yet, depending on how many people have ideas for requests. I mean, I think the more ideas, the better, especially if we want to keep in a solid cadence of maybe releasing one data set a month for a year. If we hit more, that's great. But to do that, then we have to request maybe at least 5 data sets a month I would aim for because it takes a long time for them to come back and you have a lot
Mhm.
of projections and things to work through. But no, in terms of decision making, I don't have an idea about that yet. I would think we would just get together in that brainstorming call and talk it through. And probably the
Okay.
people who spent the most time researching it have a good idea of how to request it, and then we can just do it. Um, if it turns out that there are requests that people are more or less interested in, maybe we could vote on it or decide where we want to put our brains. But I think it'll just be more of a question of how many ideas folks have and where we all want to put our brains on getting the data.
Cool. Thank you.
Sunil.
Hey, sorry. I usually use Zoom. So let's say there's like a journalist that just kind of shouts out that they need help with certain data set, that the data is a little old or it's not like everybody's watching it come in live. Is there like a place for that, like a conversation place or like a sign up and then there's a separate space for discussing all of that? Or I don't know how that, because that would be nice like, if I were to just be a free agent and just help whatever journalist is in the middle of their story, and then I could just, you know, do the thing.
Um, that is a good question. I don't know if finding folks like that on the Data Liberation Project would be the best place. I mean, if anyone
No,
here
no,
is a
not there,
journalist.
but like I guess like in the whole Slack, like if somebody's already like half analyzed it and they're writing on it, and then we like sign up for it, I just want to be able to kind of work with them instead of, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I think in the public FOIA workshopping, definitely is a good place to find questions like that or help out journalists who just kind of, like you said, just shout help and need help. Um, Sam, do you know if for News Nerdery to join the News Nerdery Slack, you have to be a journalist?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can probably check pretty quick. I mean, I agree that's a good place to go.
This is the place for journalists shouting help about data problems.
Okay.
So that is where I always shout help and am so grateful that I always find someone shouting back to me. So if you can join there as a journalist or as a non-journalist, I'm not sure, but check that out for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and another one, if no one has mentioned it yet, is the NICAR listserv, which should be open to everyone. It's also for journalists, but I'm sure you can join as a non-journalist, and it's just a big group of people who help each other with data questions. So I'll try to find a link to that and post it in the chat as well.
Is this chat going to be archived? Maybe dumb question, but I
No,
don't want
that
to
is
lose it.
not.
I'm at work right now, so I don't want to, lose it and get home.
Yeah, no, good question. Helly, do you know if we're
I am not
preserving?
entirely sure, but you can also like we can just make sure that we like send this to you personally with some of these links as well.
Yeah, and I will check on that in the future as well. I know Zoom now does preserve chats, but I don't know if we have that setting on for this call.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about Muckrock or
Hi. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I am driving, so I can only unmute. But I know there were a couple of data sets, and I joined late, so forgive me if I missed this. But there were data sets that the Data Liberation Project was updating regularly. What's kind of the game plan going forward for those? One that comes to mind is the federal firearm background check data. I think that was updated monthly. What's kind of the best case scenario or best plan for those? And sorry to cut you off.
No, that is a good question. I am going to go back to our canvas. You can't see this because you are driving right now, Jessica. But I'm going to add that as a to-do on the, let's say, requesting new data. In our canvas, again, since you're driving, in our canvas, we have a few different like to-do lists for different parts of the project. I'm going to add an item on the to-do list that says figure out which requests were being regularly requested, and how to keep updating those. And Jessica, I'm going to tag you if you want to help me out with this as well. I was vaguely aware that there were requests like that that were steadily being updated, but I think it would be good. Um, Jessica, what's your last name?
My last name is Barker. That's Barker, and I am more than happy to help.
Awesome. So I both tagged us in this item on the to-do list. Yeah, that is a great question. Um, and I think the simplest answer is we want to continue filing those and making sure they're like stay on schedule going forward because I would reason that anyone who filed that request in DLP before had a good idea of why that should be a request we should be regularly filing. And we just want to keep doing that in the future. But I haven't pulled those ones out yet. So that's a good quick to do item we can do as well, and just like make sure we're staying on top of that. Any other questions, thoughts, wishes, anything that wasn't going on in the data liberation project before that you want to see in the future? Anything that I didn't talk about today that you would really like to see?
Just double checking. So the next kind of thing that's coming up is there's the conversation call on Friday afternoon. Is that right?
Yeah, and that is FOIA Friday. Anyone here is welcome to join, and encouraged if you're specifically interested in all public records and not just public records as data. Um, it's about a 50-minute to an hour call. The first part of it, I talk through a topic, whether it's data inventories or appeals, or this week I'm doing 50 FOIAs in 50 minutes. So I'm just kind of going through a bunch of different request ideas. If it's not, you've already seen that. But the people on the call last time voted that that's something they want to see on this call. Yeah, in the future, I'd like to kind of tie data liberation work into the call and maybe just talk about things that are going on in the call because there's an overlap of people who join that call that, aren't on DLP, but maybe just want to be in the loop of the cool stuff that's going on here. So that's something that I want to figure out how to do. But for now, it's kind of still somewhat separate to DLP. Edward says it would be nice to have experts speak on, share about the DLP existing new ongoing data sets. That is a great idea. I think, yeah, that's a really good idea. And that's exactly what I mean when like I say just tying in data liberation project and something like FOIA Friday. We've had some really cool guests come on and talk about different types of documents, and we could do the same thing with data, whether it's reporters who've worked really closely with certain data sets, or maybe people in the government who maintain that database. I'd really like to see that kind of stuff come into FOIA Friday as well. Um, Ginny, you look like you just unmuted, and Daniel has a hand up. Ginny, do you want to go first?
Sorry, that was by accident. Thank you so much, though.
Oh, okay, sorry. Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I joined a little bit late, so I just want to make sure I filled out the Google form for what I think I can do. I wish there was multiple choice because I think I can help with like the brainstorming, given my experience, and then also like submitting and shepherding their requests. Um, but I think my question is what happens next? Like, will I get an email saying like, "Hey, we're going to talk about this," or I guess like, sorry if you already discussed it and was just late, but like, I would like to know what happens next, right? And this is my first time here.
Yeah, no, great question. And that's the kind of question we want to answer while we got everyone on this call. So if you're interested, for example, in brainstorming requests, I think maybe the best thing is to have those types of folks get on like a once a month call and talk about requests as we've brainstormed and researched them. Then in that call, we'll come up with a request or multiple requests we'll file that month. And then we'll pass that off to the people in the Canvas who said they want to file requests, and let those folks file the request on Muckrock and stay on top of it. And then as requests come back, we'll ping the people in this group who are interested in data wrangling and have them hop in and help document, analyze, and visualize the data set, prep it, and then get it onto the website. And that's kind of the full making of the sausage from beginning to end. But in terms of just like very next steps, Daniel, yeah, I think the goal is that for each of these to-do items, whether it's finding data, requesting it, cleaning, that within the week we have some stuff for you to do on each of those. And now that we have your email, we'll ping the people that we have who filled out that form for the different topics through email. But we'll also just always keep updating on Slack and say, hey, we want to brainstorm this request. Does anyone have any ideas? Or hey, we have a new date for brainstorming. If you're interested in that, hop on the call. Or hey, we got this data set back. If you're interested in just hacking away, here's the data, here's the documentation. Start collaborating with others on it. So we'll keep trying to nudge people in a lot of different places, whether it's email or Slack, or just jumping on a call together.
Perfect, thank you. And one follow-up question.
Mhm.
I am very interested in data, but outside of basic Excel formulas, I don't know much. Would there be also an opportunity for, like learning, like
Mm.
how to scrape this data? Because it would help me also with my day job and whatever. But I would also like to learn and maybe eventually like contribute to the data liberation project in terms of like just how to pull the data and all of that.
Yeah, that is a great point, and I think something we can definitely build in as well, which is kind of like how we did it for different data sets. Like if we spend a substantial amount of time cleaning a data set, I think we should definitely, for Muckrock's site and for everyone in this group as well, write up a short article on how we did it, and whoever worked closest on that in this group can kind of lead that and maybe share it back to the group on a call as well. I think there should definitely be a good feedback loop of folks who are working on analyzing the data programmatically when needed or working on, say, some of the scraping projects and hopefully sharing back to people in the group how they're able to do that so that anyone who else wants to do that in future work can kind of learn from what we've already been doing and make kind of short guides and trainings on how we've been able to do that work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think this is a pretty great group to just ask questions to as well. Like if you're interested in, I don't know, say learning R and you just posted in the Slack channel, hey, I've been working in Excel, but I want to transition to doing more data analysis in R. Does anyone have any tips or places to start? I know I would immediately respond and have a lot of ideas for you. So if you're looking to learn different things, I think this is a good group to just pose those sort of questions to as well. Aaron, did you have another question?
Yeah, I had one more question, and you might have already answered it. Like once we're done like analyzing everything, like each, we get like a ton of data and then it goes through the whole process and it's visualized. Is there going to be like a special place on Muckrock where like stories are written about the data and what it says, or are we just kind of cleaning it up so that other people can, use it at different news outlets and stuff?
Yeah, good question. I think the goal would be maybe both. I think if it's immediately useful to other newsrooms, that's great. If there are any other ways that people are using it, that we can publish on Muckrock, that's great too. I think we want to continue using our own data, making it clear what the use is and the value of this project is. And so I think there's definitely a place for articles about the data we've been able to collect on Muckrock as well. And we'll have like on Muckrock we have like project pages, so there'll be like a project page for the data liberation project, all the requests that we filed, any articles about data, and hopefully that can all like live in one place on Muckrock.
Thank you.
All right, we're reaching an hour and maybe have time for one last question. Does anyone else have a final question before we wrap it up for today? All right. I think that's it. Uh, Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the call. I'm really excited to work with you all and have fun liberating data.